A famous quote once said, "No evil dooms us as hopelessly as the evil that we love, desire to continue in, and make no effort to escape from." Every day, men all over the world chase after the same thing that 99.9% of other men are chasing. And in some cases, this thing is a pretty girl on a computer screen, uploaded by some random guy who is living the type of life that the guy watching the video only wishes that he could live. And in other situations, men chase the same thing, but that thing is disguised as a briefcase full of money or even a position at work that yields more power over people. Every day, men visit websites that they know that they shouldn't go to, and they lock themselves in their dark room and they prepare for not the forbidden things that they're about to see on the computer screen, but instead for the end result. You see, much of our life as humans, whether we want to believe it or not, is not actually controlled by us. We are simply like the wizard Saruman sitting atop our tower giving orders to an orc army to carry out what needs to be done. Steve Poe, or the guy who wrote the book Creatures of Habit, was definitely onto something. As much as we like to believe that we are calling all the shots, most of what we are doing at any given moment is simply giving in to urges and impulses that we all have. Try sitting on a couch and see how long it takes for you to get an urge to do something. For most of us, it won't take longer than a few seconds to feel some sort of impulse to eat, drink, or to do something fun and exciting. Most men cannot look at an attractive girl for longer than a second before they feel the need to act on all sorts of impulses. Imagine if somebody walked up to you right now and they asked you if they could borrow your legs for the next year or two. If you're like most people, you would tell them no. Yet every single day, we give away something far more powerful and far more useful to people that we don't even know. Sauron, or the Dark Lord from the Lord of the Rings movies, was occasionally referred to as the Lord of Gifts. And throughout most of these movies, Sauron is really nothing more than a giant flaming eye, so he doesn't actually have any form in terms of having like a body or something. Yet somehow, Sauron is powerful enough to control entire armies of evil creatures to do his bidding without even having a physical body. As much as we like to think that we have control over ourselves, 95% of the things that we do every day are nothing more than the result of us giving in to our urges and our impulses. And most of the time, we are actually just like puppets being jerked around on little strings. And although we think we are the ones making ourselves dance, most of the time, somebody else is actually pulling the strings. The number one thing that controls 99.9% of men out there is not a girl's physical beauty, but rather, like the Eye of Sauron, it is our own mind. All of the kings of Middle-earth were not forced into doing something evil, they were simply presented with something like a gift, and all they had to do was convince themselves. All that Sauron had to do was put something in front of them, like a tiny but insanely powerful little ring, and the men of Middle-earth would fight and destroy each other all by themselves. People who are poor are not poor because somebody is forcing them to be poor. They are poor because they are easily controlled by their impulses. They are poor because they allow their mind to be easily controlled by external things like attractive females on a computer screen, for example. 99% of men are controlled by the same thing, and that thing can be dressed up as a variety of different things. When you meet a girl that you like and you call her and she doesn't call you back after what seems like a reasonable amount of time, what happens? You start to feel an impulse or a strong urge to call her again and again. And by the time she finally gets back to her phone a few hours later, she has 15 missed calls from you, and now she's definitely not going to call you back. Many of us are controlled by things that we don't think control us, like for example, what other people think of us. People say awful things to us, and we get in a bad mood because of something that some random stranger said to us. So in that situation, we allowed something that some random person said to affect the most powerful thing that we have, which is our mind, in a negative way. Or to put it simply, we allowed some random stranger to pull our strings almost like we are some kind of puppet or something. These days, men are controlled and made into puppets by all sorts of things like social media, news, or even the latest trends. In the movie X-Men Apocalypse, the evil supervillain, whose name roughly translates to the Seven Lights, was one of the world's first mutants. And in the movie, this very, very evil character, after encountering Professor X, or the bald guy who has really strong mind control powers, realizes that the best and the most effective way to basically take over the entire Earth and everybody on it is not to physically force all these people to submit to him. What he discovers is that the most effective way to achieve his goal is to simply take control of the minds of everyone on the planet, using the incredible ability of Professor X to tap into them. Because if you can get into somebody's head, there is never any need to actually physically fight them. In fact, most evil supervillains would agree that it's much better to simply let men fight themselves, which is something we've been proven to be very good at throughout history. Most of you watching would never loan out your car to some criminal who wants to rob a bank, yet we do something far worse every single day by giving away control of our mind to external events. Most of us men are constantly being yanked around like puppets by other people and other things, by our urges, our impulses, and our temptations. Most guys out there see a girl who is very physically attractive and they immediately give up control of the most powerful asset they have, which is their mind. Now, at the risk of sounding a little bit corny here, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the one thing that all men want from females is almost like the ring of power itself. All that you have to do is put it on and then boom, you've given up your location and a team of angry horsemen will be on their way to destroy you. But it's not just things like physical beauty that draw men into giving up control of their minds. In fact, many things could be compared to the ring of power. So how can we resist the one thing that controls 99.9% of men? And the answer is not only simple, but I've already given it to you. As humans, our brains are wired to look for threats in the form of a giant lion chasing us or some crazy guy swinging a sword at us. Yet, ironically, most of these situations would involve a bit of physical pain, and then they would be gone forever and forgotten. You have to ask yourself this: what do you think would be more damaging? A guy who punches you in the face once that you never have to see again, or somebody who you trusted when you were young telling you over and over again that you are worthless as you are growing up? Since we are wired to scan and avoid physical threats like some giant animal chasing us, we frequently avoid the things that actually have the greatest potential to damage us the most, or the things that have the greatest potential to take control of our minds. Oftentimes, it is the things that come in the prettiest packages that cause us the most problems, yet we are the ones who ultimately let them in. At the end of the day, we are the ones who allow these things to control our mind. We are the ones who chose to wear that tiny, harmless looking little ring. Somebody says something that makes us mad, it only makes us mad if we allow it to. It only makes us mad if we give up control of our mind to that thing. Whenever we get an urge to lock ourselves in our bedroom and go to websites that we shouldn't go to, we have to ask ourselves, is it really worth putting the ring on? Do I really want to give up my location to the Dark Riders or those evil horsemen so they can come and destroy me? Every external event and every impulse that we get, such as the need to buy a Big Mac or the need to check out that attractive girl walking by us, all of these things are like that little voice whispering in our ear, telling us to put the ring on. But at the end of the day, we have the ability to choose whether or not we are affected by something someone else says about us, or whether or not we give in to an urge or an impulse that we are feeling. We have the ability to choose whether or not we want to give up control of our mind and let other people or things or urges or impulses control us. Now, the best way to resist the one thing that controls 99.9% of men on the planet in whatever form that it may take is to simply be aware of it and to say no. It is to not give up control of the greatest asset that we all have as men, which is our mind. Because at the end of the day, most men give in and most men end up putting on the ring. So you have to ask yourself, what will you do? And with that said, until next time, thanks for watching.